Justice with Judge Mablean will be life, because in everything we do, it involves the law. You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I'll make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
say.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. Gina Lewis is suing Mark Lane in the amount of $700. Ms. Lewis claims Mr. Lane keyed her car because she parked in front of his house. Mr. Lane claims he's not responsible for the damage to the plaintiff's car, but is tired of Ms. Lewis stealing his parking spot.
This is the matter of Gina Lewis versus Mark Lane. And Ms. Lewis, you are suing Mr. Lane for property damage when he keyed your car, you said. Tell me about it, Ms. Lewis.
I park in front of Mr. Lane's house on occasion.
He's your neighbor?
Mr. Lane is my neighbor.
Okay.
And I've had constant problems. This has been ongoing for some time. He puts trash cans out in front of my vehicle, even when it's not trash day, and it's a real.
Does he put them there after you park, or he puts them there to prevent you from parking?
He puts them there to prevent me from parking.
And then how do you park anyway?
Pardon?
How do you park? You get out and move them?
Yeah, I have to get out and physically move them. Yes,
Okay.
I do, Your Honor.
So he puts trash cans on the street in the parking area
Yes.
on
yes.
non-trash days?
Yeah, on non-trash days, yes.
Okay.
And the situation has escalated to where I've had to call the police to try help me sort the situation out, but they rarely check up on these types of matters. So I've actually asked Mr. Lane quite nicely if he could park in his driveway, or maybe if I could possibly park in his driveway, and he got very irate, and he told me that he's lived in the same house for 30 years and he can park however he likes.
So why don't you park in your driveway?
Sometimes I'm fortunate to get a good parking spot in my driveway,
But it's all your siblings that live there, right?
Yes, the parking spot, the driveway only holds 4 cars. There's 6 people in our family.
Oh.
So sometimes somebody gets left out, and most of the time it's usually me. And I don't have a problem with that at all.
Because you're the last one to get home, usually.
Correct.
Okay. So it only holds 4 cars, and there's 6 of you. 6 cars for your
Yes.
house.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what happened? Why are you suing him? What did he do?
Well,
Or what did you allege that he did?
Well, it all started when I was coming out to go to work at 5:30 in the morning, and Mr. Lane comes running out, waving his finger at me, telling me, "You better not park in front of my house again." And we got into an argument, and the neighbors called the police, and they were brought out. The police, resolved the issue by telling Mr. Lane that he cannot hog the parking spaces and that they'll be monitoring the situation for some time after that.
They told him it was a public street, right?
Yeah, they sure did.
Okay. And then what happened?
Oh, well, Mr. Lane wasn't too happy about it. And after the police left, he turned to me and shook his finger and he said, "You better be careful about parking in front of my house." And he's actually left notes. I have a note here. I've got some evidence here that you may want to see. There's a note that he left on my car.
Telling you not to park in front of his house?
Yeah, not to park in front of his house. And there's the picture of the damage on my vehicle.
I see that it's keyed pretty badly. From the front of the light all the way back to the door.
It's the whole length of the driver's side.
Oh, the entire length.
That's
wow.
right.
Is that a truck?
Yes.
What type of truck?
It's a Dodge Ram.
Okay.
It's 2001 Dodge Ram.
Ooh, that's a pretty big truck.
Yep, that's right.
And this is his sign saying stop parking here that he had put on your car, your truck?
Yes, that's what he put on my vehicle.
This your handwriting? Well, let me let him show it to you.
May I also see the picture, Your Honor?
Oh, yes, you may.
Oh,
Who's your witness, Mr. Link? What does he have to offer?
My handwriting.
Have a seat. Miss Lewis, you may have a seat. Mr. Link, step forward.
Hey, how you doing, Your Honor? My name is Mr. Link.
And what do you have to tell me?
I'm the eyewitness. Actually, I have to tell you is I saw the defendant near her vehicle. He's actually near her vehicle, moving around and messing with the car and stuff, because I get up 5 o'clock every morning to smoke a cigarette, and I was just, actually my viewing actually saw what he was doing and stuff.
What was he doing?
And, it was like he was just taking his hand, like going across the car. Like,
So you could just see his hand, but you couldn't see what was in his hand.
yeah, it seemed like it was a key or something, Your Honor. And I know like every time that she parks near his driveway, he gets upset. And I'm like, if that's the case, why don't you just park in your own driveway, because it's everybody's place, because this is for the whole community. So it's not nobody's space, it's everybody's space.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
I don't know what he's talking about by yelling at anybody. I was very humiliated when they called the police. This is ridiculous, you know.
Why did they call the police?
This is an issue that can be solved between the two of us.
And later,
So why did you jump toward that way? You didn't want to jump in somebody's lap?
It just kind of was set
You didn't give it any
up
thought,
that way.
really?
I didn't. I thought that I was going to catch this girl, and I wasn't expecting her to come running at me.
Justice with Judge Mablean. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Gina Lewis, who is suing Mark Lane for property damage.
You couldn't convince Mr. Lane to let her park there?
That man is
You
a
were
lot of
going
work.
there, huh?
Yeah, he's a lot of work, so I just left that alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mr. Lane is not a lot of work. He looked like a little sweetie pie. Mr. Lane, why are they saying those bad things about you? Have a seat, Mr. Lee.
I don't know what he's talking about by yelling at anybody. I was very humiliated when they called the police. This is ridiculous, you know.
Why did they call the police?
This is an issue that can be solved between the two of us.
That street in front of your house is yours.
Well, that street, I feel it's not that it's mine, but it's easier for me to park there. If I park in my driveway, which is narrow, I have to park out, to pull out. When I go anywhere, I have to crane my neck, and I have arthritis in my neck, my knees. It's very hard for me to turn.
Is your driveway real close to the house or something?
Well, the driveway is close to the house, but it's much easier for me if I park in the street.
You can open the door wider.
I open the door and get in the car and take off. I don't have to do any craning and turning and twisting.
But you understand that that's a public street, though.
Well, yes, but I thought it would be understandable due to my health conditions if I parked in front of my house.
Did you key that car, her truck?
Your Honor, to be honest with you, I never even heard of the term keying. I didn't even know what it meant.
Oh, well, forget what it means and forget the term. Did you take a key and run across the side of her car?
No. I would never do that. No,
But you were
no.
angry that she kept parking that car in front of your house?
I don't like the idea that she parked her car there, but I certainly thought we could resolve this peacefully.
And what would be your peaceful resolution?
That she doesn't park in front of my house.
That's the only resolution you can come up with?
Yes.
Well, where is she supposed to park? If she only has 4 spaces in her driveway and it's 6 cars and there's an apartment building and the street apparently is a little overcrowded and parking spaces are limited, if she gets to your house first and you're not there, where's she supposed to park?
Well, that's her problem.
But that's not the law, Mr. Lane. I'm sorry, sir. There is evidence that you keyed the car. There's enough to reasonably believe that you did so based upon, I believe there's a preponderance of the evidence.
Well,
when you're really, really uptight about this, now she's embarrassed and humiliated you because she's called the police about this. That makes you even more angry about it because you're a fine, upstanding citizen and all of a sudden you got the police involved in this matter like you're some common criminal. I know that upset you very much, did it not?
Well, I may have been very upset about things, but I still would not do this key thing. It's just not in my nature.
So you just think that some stranger did it?
Well, I have my own theories.
I'm sorry. and I hate to do this to you, and you seem like a wonderful and a nice man, but you cannot do that. And I have enough evidence to believe that you did do that damage to her car, her truck, and I'm going to have to charge you for it. And please don't do anything else, because you don't want to be arrested. You can be arrested.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Now, I know you don't want to go to jail over a parking space, do you?
No.
Okay, so don't do anything foolish like that again, because, you know, that's criminal behavior. It's called vandalism. That's a criminal offense, a misdemeanor offense. Vandalism of a vehicle can get you in jail.
I am not a vandal, Your Honor.
But I mean, keying a car is called vandalism.
Well,
Kicking a car is called vandalism. Breaking out a window is called damage to the car. That could get you in jail.
I still do deny that I
Okay,
did
so
this
if you
keying.
deny it, I believe you did it, but I'm warning you, don't do anything else that you may think about doing, okay?
I will accept your warning.
All right, thank you. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $700.
I'm glad this situation has been resolved and I can move on with my life.
Well, I guess I have to let you park in my driveway.
Coming up,
Well, he was standing pretty close to the cake, preparing to do the move, and his partner came towards him, and she shot at him like a cannonball, smashed right into the cake.
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. Kelly Holden is suing Matt Cope in the amount of $1,800. Ms. Holden claims Mr. Cope crashed into her wedding cake when he attempted to do an impossible dance move. Mr. Cope claims he didn't destroy the cake on purpose, and he claims the plaintiff asked him to perform his famous dance move.
You're suing him for $1,800 for damage to a very expensive, and I hope it was as good as it was costly, wedding cake.
Well, it's your special day, and it meant everything to me. I want to remember it for the rest of my life, and it was a very good wedding. And then there was just the issue of the cake, which was delicious, 3 tiers, and it was just extremely disappointing and upsetting what happened.
Do you have a picture of that beautiful cake?
Indeed, I do.
Oh, let me see.
Yes, ma'am.
$1,800 for a wedding cake. Wow. Pardon me, but that just sounds a little bit above. Too costly for me, but I'm a cheapo, though. Everybody knows that. That's the only after it's destroyed.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I wanted to see it before it was destroyed.
I didn't get the time to get any pictures.
You didn't get a chance to get any pictures?
None whatsoever.
Wow, why not? Tell me what happened.
Well, so we'd planned this beautiful, beautiful wedding, and everything went extremely well. We got to the reception, everyone had dinner. I went back upstairs to change and to fix my hair, and as I was returning into the room, I could hear the Dirty Dancing song, Time of My Life, playing. And I immediately realized that Matt here would be doing something extremely irresponsible and silly, which was attempting the big move, you know, in the scene where he kind of picks her up and lifts her right up and holds her there. Essentially, I walked in and I saw that he was standing pretty close to the cake, preparing to do the move, and his partner came towards him, and she shot at him like a cannonball, smashed right into the cake, and just...
So how many had you drank before this move was made?
2 to 4.
Huh?
2 to 4.
2 to 4?
2 to 4.
Okay. What? 2 to 4 of what?
2 shots and some champagne.
So now, do you recall this discussion about you doing the Dirty Dancing move at their wedding?
Absolutely.
And what was the discussion?
Pretty much as she said. You know, she had seen me do it at a mutual friend's wedding before, and...
Is there any reason you chose to do it before the dancing began?
I thought it would get the party going.
Oh, okay. So you and the DJ had it going.
We talked a little bit.
But if you were doing it for her benefit, did you realize that she wasn't in the room?
Well, that was the thing. We were waiting until she came down.
Oh, okay.
So I had another friend who let me know when she was on her way, and then I was going to give the DJ the signal, and I did. And
sure enough,
it almost went off perfect.
Coming up.
So why did you jump toward that way? You didn't want to jump in somebody's lap?
It just kind of was set up
thought,
that way.
really?
I didn't. I thought that I was going to catch this girl, and I wasn't expecting her to come running at me.
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Kelly Holden, who is suing Matt Cope in the amount of $1,800.
She charged at you.
She came on a little strong. Well, the cake was right next to the dance floor.
I know, but didn't the dance floor extend from one end to the other end? So could you have jumped at the end where the cake was not?
It was more of a square, and there was tables surrounding the dance floor, so it wasn't, you know, like a runway.
Okay, but even in a square, the dance floor is on one, the cake is at one part of the floor. There's another part of the floor that the cake isn't. So why do you jump toward that way? You didn't want to jump in somebody's lap?
It just kind of was set
thought,
up that way.
really?
I didn't. I thought that I was going to catch this girl, and, you know, I wasn't expecting her to come running at me.
But you also didn't give it thought in that if I'm dancing and I'm 2 feet from the cake and she comes.
I was like 10 feet. I was like 10 feet away from the cake when we started. I felt really bad at that point. I went over and tried to talk to her. She didn't even want to.
She didn't want to hear you at all.
Within arm's distance, no.
Why do you think he should pay?
Because honestly, Matt is a very irresponsible person, as you can probably already gather from.
So why are you asking to dance?
That was definitely my mistake, I will admit, and with some hindsight now, I definitely would not do it again. I mean, initially, I didn't even want him at the wedding, but obviously, it's my husband's friend. I would never say, oh, you can't have him. Of course you can bring your friends.
And then after you guys were at the bachelorette party and had a few drinks together, he suddenly became your friend.
Well, I wouldn't say he became my friend.
Well, you
but
asked him to do something at your wedding that you didn't want him to come to.
Absolutely. I must admit I was intoxicated, and it was definitely a severe mistake to ask him to do so. But he really, it's...
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
Were you able to salvage any of the cake?
No.
What? That's not true.
No. There was hardly anything.
Not according to the facts that I read, that you were able to salvage some and serve some of it.
I didn't have any of the cake personally.
There's pictures of her eating the cake. They were still able to salvage some of the cake.
The crushed cake. It was crushed. It was all smushed up.
Well, that was the point. Were you able to salvage the cake?
Not to the way I would have liked it, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Not to the way you would have liked it. And now you want to sue your husband's friend for the cake. But it's not just your cake. It was your husband's cake as well. So is he joining in this lawsuit?
He does. He is completely on my side about this.
But come on, Miss Holden. You really think he should pay for the cake?
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt that he would be a better person,
right.
be more mature for once. And obviously I assumed wrong. I gave him too much faith. Because
assumption of the risk, so
well.
I'm going to deny your claim. Judgment for the defendant.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
Matt, you've ruined my wedding cake, and you just need to learn to be more responsible for your actions.
Kelly, I'm sorry I ruined your wedding cake. You did ask me to do the move. I just hope we can move on from here.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.